Today is the day. I'm going to show you my Mclaren F1 LM that I built from scratch. This is my replica of the 1995 Le Mans winning Mclaren F1 LM, the legend. We've come to call this car the carbon copy, mostly for the fact that we've used so much carbon fiber on it, and also that it looks like a Mclaren F1 LM. When I first started with the idea of building this car, it was about 18 years ago. We decided on two things. One is that it should look like a Mclaren F1, but even more importantly was that I wanted this car to have the same, well, at least close to the same performance specs as the original car. So I think it's a bit, we built the car probably a bit wrong way around as far as building a replica of a car is concerned, because first and foremost was the important thing for this car was to have proper performance. There's a couple of things that I would like to mention about this car and how it came to be. The Mclaren F1 LM was, since the day I saw it first in a magazine, the most beautiful car ever built, but also the most unobtainable car in existence probably, because there was only ever 5 LMs and 100 Mclaren F1s. They were from the first day almost impossible to afford and unobtainable, because there just wasn't any available. So this car's structure, or the structural strength, is from the carbon fiber and aluminium composite body. So basically the front of the suspension bolts onto the body, and the rear of the suspension and the engine and gearbox bolts onto the back of the car, the same way that the original car did. So we opted for some super wide wheels, and the result was that the body also had to be widened a bit more than the original car. My thinking was that using these wide wheels would give me the same kind of handling performance as the original car did, because I reckoned it would be a bit heavier than the original car, so I needed wider wheels to have the same kind of performance. Funnily enough, at the end of the day, this car only weighs 1,140 kilograms, so it's basically the same weight as the original car, the road-going version, not the stripped out version. But I'm super proud of that, because McLaren obviously had unlimited budget and unlimited funds to try and reach that super light weight. Alright, so when I started building the car, I started with the rolling chassis, got the wheels in position, and then I started with bodywork. This car is built mostly out of aluminium, the body aluminium and carbon fiber, although the rear bumper as well as parts of the front are made out of fiberglass. But the doors, the side panels, the front, what you call it, the hood, or the frunk, I made all of that out of aluminium. because it was an easier medium for me to use on the outside, and then I used carbon fiber on the inside for strength. Okay, so starting in the front of the car, I installed power steering. Even though the original cars did not have power steering, I installed power steering, and I installed power brakes, which was not standard on the original cars, because I drive in public and I try to park in public spots, and I wanted the car to be a little bit more comfortable in that sense. Another thing that I did on this car was I installed air conditioning, which was not standard on the LM cars. They were on the road going versions, but because I drive this car on the road, I installed air conditioning. In the front, I've got 4 large radiators, 2 on each side, with 4 massive fans to keep the car cool, and I've got no problems with keeping the car cool. Okay, and at the back, I've got a Bmw V12 motor in the car. It comes from the 850 series BMWs. It's a 12-cylinder, but it's a single overhead cam. The original cars had double overhead cam motors specially built for them. Impossible to find. So what I had to do to try and get the same power output was we installed 2 turbos and 2 intercoolers to try and reach that 650 horsepower mark. I used a 6-speed Audi transaxle gearbox. It has more or less the same gear age as the original car, but they work very well. The rear wing I also made from scratch, all carbon fiber, and it is mounted to the chassis. What I mean by that is that it is functional, so it can easily carry the weight of proper downforce. As far as the engine bay is concerned, I also used gold vinyl instead of real gold, and that helped to isolate the heat from the manifolds to the car. It works very well. I did a 750cc injector upgrade. The flywheel and clutch assembly I had to manufacture myself, and also the adapter between the gearbox and the engine I had to manufacture myself, and also all the other things like the engine mounts and so on was manufactured in-house. The side shafts, I had them made, and they were also specially made so that they could handle the power that I was planning to put onto the wheels with this car. So at the back you'll find the 2 intercoolers that are connected to the turbocharger, and also a big oil cooler in the middle that helps keeping the car cool. As far as fabricating the body goes, the most difficult thing for me to make was the doors. To get them to open and close properly and be symmetric, it was quite a task. Like I said, most of the doors are made out of aluminium and carbon fiber, and also on the inside there's a crash bar structure that goes from the front to the back for safety. I also incorporated a roll bar that is built, or a roll cage that was built into the body, and also in the front at the wheels, or in the wheel, or the tunnel where the driver sits. I used 3mm steel plates that's also reinforced with tubes to keep you as safe as I possibly could make the car. The fuel tank of this car also sits behind the driver, but it is accessed from the inside of the car rather than the outside, as was the case with the original car. Between the fuel tank And the engine, I've got a 2 millimeter stainless steel plate that separates the fuel tank from the engine, and that isolates it and also keeps it nice and cool so it won't overheat. The seat I manufactured myself. I made a mold, and I then made a product out of that mold, out of carbon fiber and fiberglass, and I covered it with leather, and I sit quite comfortably in the car. It is adjustable so that people like my father can also drive the car. The steering wheel also is a Momo steering wheel that I recovered myself, and I've got a quick release steering hub on it. Not that it's really necessary, you can easily get in and out the car without removing the quick release. Inside these carbon fiber and aluminium tunnels is where the radiator hoses go. And one side is the hot side, the other side is the cooler side, and also the power steering hoses, and all the electrical wiring goes in between these tunnels. Okay, so on the inside, I took special care to make things like the gear lever and the accelerator pedal so that they would be the same as the original car. Like I said, carbon fiber on the inside. The doors, there's a lot of carbon fiber on this car. I used leather on the dashboard. I also fabricated the dashboard myself, like everything else on the car. I've got an adjustable brake bias, and the dash and engine management works together. It's a super awesome product, so I can see exactly what's going on the engine through the dashboard, and I can also record all my activities, including GPS, so that I can see exactly how I was doing and how my performance was after the fact. I installed a camera in the front and in the rear as well, with a permanent monitor so that I can see what's going on behind me. And like I said, yes, I've got air conditioning in the car, power steering, power brakes, so it drives remarkably well. Okay, so there you have it. This is the Mclaren F1 LM replica that I built from scratch, and I'm rather proud of it. There's a lot of things that I'm sure that I'm forgetting to tell you, so if there's any questions regarding this car, feel free to comment and I will answer them for you. But what I can tell you is that this thing drives extremely well. It is super fast. It brakes like you cannot believe. It accelerates like you cannot believe. It goes around a corner like you cannot believe. So I feel that I've accomplished in what I was planning to do on this car. So this is gonna be it for this video. I will be making another video with some footage of me driving the car and enjoying it. It's awesome to see. It drives very nice. So if you enjoyed watching this video, and if you'd like to see some more videos and also see the other projects that I've got lined up in future, which are awesome, subscribe to my channel so that you can follow me and also be with me on the journey to making beautiful cars.